You'll see the lower bottom of your screen where Rahl Jewelers is located, their phone number, their hours of operation. This is the time for gift giving. And so if you are going to buy something special for someone, Rahl Jewelers is the place to go. I'm looking to see if Mike is settled into his press conference chair. It appears that he has. Let's bring him in now. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
Well, I lost your audio there for a minute because of the loud scream like Tarzan. It's good to see you, Aldo.
You got it.
Look at you. You're looking good. You're feeling good. I'll tell you what, we're feeling good because here's what it's about, folks. Before the show, Aldo and I we very rarely talk. I never wanted the script. And now Aldo knew that. I'll never forget Andy Thurman of Fox Sports Radio. When I found out I got that plum assignment to do Morning Drive against Mike Greenberg at ESPN at Fox Sports Radio, my only regret was not being on in Chicago, but that didn't make anybody unhappy in Chicago that had sports radio. Believe me. So I was on in 220 markets. And I'll never forget, you're going to be on with Andy Thurman. The other guy just didn't work out. We need somebody to pick it up. The great Bruce Gilbert, who was at Fox at the time. You're my superstar. You're my guy. I believe in you, and I know you can do it. Well, Jeff Schwartz also helped talk them into this, and they never regretted it until Bruce left, of course. Then Bruce leaves, and then I'm still doing well, but then they have other ideas, and then management changes. So that's another story for another day. Okay? The bottom line is that if you believe in something, you stay with something. If you don't, and if you think you can go from this guy to that guy to that guy to that guy, whether it's a quarterback, a radio personality, or what have you, you're making a big mistake. Now, what I saw this past week gave justification to anybody that thought things weren't going right for whatever reason the last 3-4 years. Period. I've had people tell me, oh, wait a minute now, hold on. I don't know why I decided to do a Southern Sheriff, but I did, even though I don't know why I did that. Hold on. We've only seen one game. That's true. No doubt about it. That's absolutely true. But I saw over 30 games of the other guy. Okay. And if the other guy would have had the game that this guy had this past week, Pro Bowl, he's on his way. No doubt about it. He's finally figured it out. And I just harkened back to last week. And last year, I was reminded. Because when I am not around Aldo, I think about him. And I remember Aldo last year losing his temper with the same situation. You got to throw the ball. You got to hold the ball. You got to run with the ball. What are you doing? Why are you hesitating? Throw the ball out of bounds. Quit taking the sack. That was last year.
Right. You remember that.
You remember. So it's every year. And no improvement. So you just sit back. You argue your point. And then you just let everybody go off. You just let everybody have it their way until they play the games. Now, the unfortunate thing that happened, and I disagree with the Fields cult crowd, okay? It's not a cult only. It's a cult with ball washers included and Kool-Aid stand, a Kool-Aid stand. It's all the Chicago Bear fans for the most part. That's done. That happened. That was done last week. Because all you have to see, just like I tried to tell Carmen DeFalco, sometimes things happen right away that you're going to predict. Sometimes bad, sometimes good.
Right.
I tried to explain to everybody. I think I'm the first man on the planet that said on this very show 3 weeks ago, don't touch Caleb Williams. Ever. Ever. And what do you mean? 40 points a game. Blah, 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 blah. I go, hey, No, he won't have 6 seconds to pass. He won't have pedigree linemen. He won't have a supposedly good coach and a great football factory behind him. He'll have some bad organization. But you've got to see more, I heard. I'm hearing that. Got to see more, Caleb. Got to see more. Forget about that one game. Well, then I watched last week. He stinks. Forget about it. Don't even go.
Yep.
And somebody said, I won't mention it because I'm close with many in the radio and broadcast and media community around the country and locally. And some not. I don't want to cast any aspersions. I don't want to bring up any names. Podcasters. But when I used to go out and the way sports radio was the way I wanted it at that station, the way that I thought it should be, which you don't know what you're going to talk about, just like when you go to the bar. So if it's me and 3 other guys, we don't meet outside and go, what do you got for after we get there? Do we drink, have a couple drinks, and then we're going to talk about what Jim Brown is passing you. And then, here's what we're going to do. And then I'd go, yeah. And then we should talk about the Cubs a little bit because of the free agent market and about as soon as the Stones come on the jukebox, we could start screaming over that. Okay. No. The way the score was successful is you didn't even talk. Jiggets and I never talked to each other before the show. And we loved each other. We still do.
Yeah.
We didn't do it. Now, you got the electronic media, and Dan Orlovsky, who predicted MVP for Fields. Boom, 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 boom. Shame on you. Maybe in another uniform. You never know. Could be a pumpkin. Could be this. Could be that. Or other people in this town. I will end the press conference on this for the most part. Then we can talk about take your questions. I found out in one game that this quarterback, Bagent, knows more about playing the position than Justin Fields ever knew. Just by his post-game press conference. I was enthralled. Oh, we got the swag coming in over here. We got the linemen. Then you know what? Foreman had a great game. And, everybody was behind me. But you know what? The guy was audibly his first game. Checking down his first game. And then I said, well, what can I really do to make the point to Eldo and everybody at the bar room that is against anybody that wants to ever quarterback for the Bears unless he wears number 1. The cuts last week from Eldo happened this week. Only they were completed by Bagent. 25 on the flank. Bagent looks this way. It's under a rush, and I heard in my head, throw it. It was Eldo. Throw it. And he threw it. And he completed it. And DJ Moore and everybody on that team became a better team because of him. So I don't want to hear he didn't do this, he didn't do that, and I don't care. I played quarterback on a team in a park league. We won the championship. I couldn't throw the ball over 40 yards, so he wasn't in for a Hail Mary. What happens if he goes with the Hail Mary and gets hurt? Okay? Because I think I'm going to reserve judgment. He could be a bum this week, but at least he'll be a bum that knows exactly how to play the position. That's all I care about. And we never saw that with the other guy. And you know how good the receivers looked? All of a sudden, and you know who's vindicated more than anybody, ladies and gentlemen? Get the mics ready. Get in line for the questions. The coaching staff. You don't think Getsy loved what happened last week because he stinks. He's that. He's that. Doesn't matter. I don't care about stats. You can put up those stats. Stats lie. Wins. You know what kind of game he played? And Eldo knows this for 4 years. Every Sunday during Bear season, the quarterback of our team does something stupid. And I'll say something like, well, I don't know if Mitch would have done that. Or if, every Sunday I got something to say about Mitch. Do you know this week? I never even thought about him. But then I start thinking, he played a Mitch Trubisky game, 8 up clock, did what he was supposed to, didn't do anything outstandingly fancy, didn't have to run for his life, got rid of the ball within 3 seconds, and the defense looked better because they were rested. And I don't want to hear that the Raiders were favored, folks. There's people in Vegas walking around. They all took the Raiders. They all did. So one of the reasons the bookies won this week, there's 3 teams. And I was undefeated this week. I had one of the greatest weeks of my life. Listen, thank you, Aldo. I started out this week. I see my guy, first of all, Aldo. I got my wife. I got my dog. I sit down. And I say to myself, what can happen today? I play a great game of Golden Tee. Flawless. Go upstairs. Have a good lunch. Then I watch the Bears whip the crap out of the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Then I play golf at this place in Marengo called Blackstone with Ken Leidecker, Jim DiGiulio, and Tom Mendick. And I'm on the fairway, 40 feet from the green. The green's an L shape. You got to hit the top of the green on the slope and have it come down to the left. Everybody's seen it on TV. I decide to putt it. I don't use the chip. I bang it 120 feet away in front of witnesses. Click, it goes in.
Oh, my goodness. Good for you, Mike.
Everybody starts cheering. Then I look up the longest putt in PGA history, and I say, this is why I play the game. I stink. I shoot okay, and then somehow hit this way or that way. But the PGA record for putt for distance is 100 feet by Jack Nicklaus in 1964. And yet, Mo Howard hits 110-foot putt number.
Nicely
then
done.
I make my bets. I've been riding Texas and Philadelphia in baseball. And then I get off Philadelphia for Arizona the last 2 games. It's all good. I'm almost tearing up. And the Bears? Let's talk now. Let's go to the press conference. Aldo, you have any statements before we go? Any retorts by what I said, sir?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was a excellent Bears win. And on our post-game show, Coach T said it was complimentary football.
Yep.
And more I thought about it, he was absolutely right. I mean, every aspect of the team played well. Quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, they weren't great, but the defensive line did their job. The defensive backs, 3 interceptions, 2 by Jalen Johnson, one by the middle linebacker. Yes. So it was nice to see that the team is starting to gel. So my first question to you, Mike North, let's say against the Chargers, Tyson Bagent goes out and has another similar experience. It's a win. He passes for about 200 yards. He throws for another touchdown. He doesn't throw an interception, doesn't turn over the ball. And then the following game, Justin Fields is ready to go. I'm back. My wrist is 100% cured. What do you do if you're the head coach of the football team? Who is going to quarterback that next game?
I just come back out with Bagent until he shows us he can't play. Now, I want everybody to remember, there's other teams that have been in this situation. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers didn't have to keep starting Purdy, but it was up to Purdy to put the pressure on them. Now you're seeing Purdy without his top 5 players, and they're going, wait a minute, this guy ain't that good. No, his complementary players are down. When Deebo Samuel comes back, everybody's better. And when some of the linemen come back, everybody's better. So my opinion is, let's see what happens. They could lose 30-0, and he can throw 3 interceptions. But like I said earlier, if they lose by 10, 30-20, but every call he makes is good, or he decides not to run when he shouldn't, or he throws he threw out of bounds. Fields still doesn't know when to do that. He still doesn't know. You said it last week. And this guy's in trouble. But here's the key. He's actually had to fight for jobs. He didn't leave like Fields did at Georgia to go somewhere else, to another football factory. From his sophomore year in high school, this guy has fought and won the job from his sophomore year. He had to win the job. So Eldo knows what this is like, because if there's ever been two guys that are doing well at what they ever did in their lives, you're watching them, folks, but we were given no chance.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, I'm supposed to say, I don't think this guy can do it. I think he can. I think he's been waiting for this. And I don't care. His arm, he said it right. He did this. He wanted to win. He looked like he was into it. He didn't sit by himself pouting like Justin does sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't blame anybody. He didn't say, hey. What he should have said is, I can't get this game at all. I just want to play street football and that's what he wanted to do. Remember? I want to play Justin Field football. Well, you're not going to win that way because you're going to get hurt. And I told Aldo this before. Everybody's going, yeah, well, what did you say that maybe would lead us to think you're right? I said I'd give him 8 games. He didn't last 6. The way he plays, he'll never last. And he's not good right now. You had a guy in his first game who played in front of maybe 200 people in college. I mean, we talked about it last week, the shock of it. But see, I can bring it to layman's terms. Eldo, I'm sure bowled at Humboldt Bowl or Manor Bowl with the Diablo team, the great Diablo team sponsored by Schlitz. I bowled. Listen, you have 4 bowlers.
Pulaski Bowl. That's where I went. So
Evergreen.
Yes.
Yeah, Evergreen. I hung out in bowling alleys. So, and we bowled in leagues. Layman's terms, folks. Let's quit playing around here with, well, we got to see more. You get a guy that bowls with you for 3 years, and the only reason you can't get out of your own way is supposedly everybody else. Hence the line, half this, half that, everybody but Justin. Then all of a sudden, Justin hurts his hand. And you bring in another guy. We're just going to try him for this week. And he shoots like for 3 games, an average of 185. When Justin averaged for 3 years, 150. You don't have to see more. You're going to go, can you come back next week and see what happens again? Because we want you to play with us. We don't have to make many more decisions. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is he had command, like Harp says. He had leadership ability. He's been in the fight. And I think I stick to what I said last week. You keep Justin, but you have a legitimate quarterback derby, and you're bringing a veteran now. You don't have to stick your neck out for some goof, okay, that's supposed to be good because he plays in a league with no defense, period.
Yeah.
Yep.
Husama says that he loved the way Tyson Bagent corrected the alignment on one play, that he reminded him of a Brady, a Rodgers, and loved the quick slant pass he did. It was beautiful. Mike, a lot of talk in the chat room about Caleb Williams. For instance, Mr. Mayhem says, if the Bears trade JF1 and draft that diva, Caleb Williams, I might consider stopping to be a Bears fan. So I want your opinion on Caleb Williams. I know you've seen him play a couple of games or more. What are your thoughts about him? And would you be intrigued of him becoming a Chicago Bear?
If they do that, they're out of their minds. They got somebody. Look, we've proven we could find a guy in 1 hour if we really put our heads to it. Don't think Poles didn't like what happened. Don't think that Eberflus didn't like what happened. Look, they've been crapped on. And Getsy has been crapped on when Eldo, forget about everybody else at the bar room, anybody else. Eldo breaks down. There's people like this, wide open, okay? The closest people is the blimp upstairs to the guy, and he misses them. So here's what I do know. I gave them all A's. The only thing I gave a B to was Eberflus because of the way he handled things they started playing back on their heels, not to lose. They made some mistakes at the end. I didn't like him keeping the timeouts in his pocket. I thought that was unnecessary. So I gave him a B. But as far as everything else goes, everything looks a lot better than it did 3 weeks ago. And here, if you played and I was describing a bowler, I don't care if it's softball. You need a left fielder that's going to hit more than, 4 for 10. And then you find a guy and he starts rocketing the ball all over the place. Then in practice, he catches the ball with one hand. That's all you got to see.
Yeah.
You don't need 10 games. We saw 10. That's all I'm saying. Treat Justin Fields like you would treat anybody that played on your teams. If we had a football team, I'm telling you, in the neighborhood we did, if our quarterback was 9-25, he's living in another neighborhood. He's living in another neighborhood. Oh, but you know what? He throws the ball good. But no, he's living, I don't care. If he's in Rogers Park with us, he's in Edgebrook somewhere. Looking in the woods. Period.
We got some questions here.
Right.
Memory hole. Mike, do you think the quarterback sneak in the game was designed, or Tyson Bagent likes getting his tush pushed?
I love the tush push. I love the tush push, and he knows how to do a quarterback sneak. Look, why the tush push? Only Philadelphia does it good anyway. Put all the linemen up front. It worked for Brady. Brady, I think, was for quarterback sneaks, and Eldo goes, oh, boy. He goes, this came out of left field. Mike's actually going to sound like he did something, and he did a little research. Brady was correct, I think, on 81% of his sneaks.
Wow.
Over his career. And he had like 166 of them or something, so figure it out. So,
yeah.
And he didn't have nobody, like 9 guys behind him, And then they don't work, because what they're doing is they're telling everybody, if everybody's pointed at the quarterback this way, then the quarterback's only going to go one way for the most part, straight ahead.
Right.
When you have Brady or Bagent, the great quarterback sneakers of our time, they sneak this way, they sneak that way. They don't always go up the middle.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Next question is from Tureen. Mike, past few games, Eberflus has the defense playing better. So do you still want Harbaugh if he's available?
Here's what I said. I've been on record as saying it. That's what's great about being on record. Documentation, I used to say. You got to have documentation. I've said Deion Sanders or Harbaugh, and I continue to say that unless a miracle happens. And if a miracle happens, that means it's going to have to start this week. We haven't even talked about who we playing. The Chargers, right?
Yep.
Herbert, right? He's the guy that throws the interceptions that they pay $240 million for.
That's the guy.
And if I was the coordinator of that team, I'd be fired, because he throws down the middle long. You don't do that in the NFL. You throw now, in my opinion, take the wide outs deep down the end, or do a deep post. Do not put them in the middle of the field. That's what you have your Tom Waddle types for, your Thielen types for, your 12. To throw down the field 30 yards with 5 guys around it's insane. So if the Bears play a good football game, and here's the key, even Eldo, the man puts out tweets. I jump. I got to retweet. That's the way it is. I'm part of the bar room. I'm a partner of his. Boom, boom. Not all the time. Sometimes I miss them. Sometimes they're not tagged to me, and that's fine. But I look at the page. Yesterday, there it is. The man's nightmare, a Twitter's nightmare. I've done it. I lay it all out, and then I make a mistake. And then you got to explain for the next hour, even though people see that you owned up to the mistake. They want to say, hey, Eldo.
Yep.
Hey, Eldo. I saw that where you gave the guy interception. He didn't have an interception.
Yeah, I made a big
an
mistake.
hour later, because he sees all the thing Eldo saying no to me. That's all I wanted to say. No, I just wanted to find out. I didn't think he had, right? That's a nightmare, isn't it?
I totally screwed up. Yep, that was stupid.
But you were right about the damn question. Here's what Eldo said. And this will go to Carmen, too, because he asked me about, he said Caleb Williams had bad mechanics. And I didn't expand on that, but I will. With the odds couple, we were another great week.
Yeah.
He didn't have bad mechanics. He had bad decision making. And our guy, I could call him our guy. Eldo called Fields his guy. So Bagent's going to be my guy. He said it wasn't the mechanics. It was just the way you throw. It was decision making. 80% of, I
Processing.
think, the respondents, right?
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
the Barroom Twitter
Right.
said, guess what? 80% decision making. And that's what I saw. I think the coolest is getting out of it and still throwing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Still having the presence of, oh, there's that guy. And then the guy gets 20 yards after. By the way, let's get off that Bagent for a second, Al.
Okay.
Our running game.
How about it?
Our running game. Our tight ends, everybody. They had a tight end. We have a tight end. What's his name?
Cole Kmet?
No, the other guy.
Mercedes Lewis, Robert Tonyan.
Yeah. I thought he stole the Ravens. I go, we got him. I go, unbelievable. He made everybody look good. That's all.
Oh, you ain't kidding. I mean, that's been one of the coaching mistakes, is not having more of what they call that 12 personnel, the two being the two tight end formations. And, with this offensive line sometimes being weak, you need that big blocking tight end. Mercedes Lewis has an ass about the size of my house, and you got to have him out there blocking, and he proved that he can catch the ball and run too. So it's not bad. Another question here, and this is a follow-up to the Jim Harbaugh question. John is asking you, do the allegations at Michigan affect Jim Harbaugh coming back home to Chicago? And the word is out. There's a rumor out that Harbaugh might be forced out of Michigan and might be looking for an NFL job. Your thoughts?
I love Jim Harbaugh. Winner. Allegations of what? Scouting? And
stealing signals, I think it was.
Oh, my God. They do it in baseball. They go, it's gamesmanship. Okay?
That's right.
It's not cheating. It's gamesmanship. We had baseball players, thank God the Houston Astros are out, that would go, they're up the bat. What's that? Nothing. That means a fastball's coming. And we're worried about Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh's done a lot of good at Michigan. But if he wants to leave, I think most Bear fans, would accept him with open arms. But you got to give him something. If I owned the Bears, I'd give him ownership. By the way, I want to maybe give an early goodbye to Chico Rivera, maybe. Because here's the death knell of any head coach. I want everybody to remember this no matter what happens. If Chico Rivera gets fired, there's a good chance the guy that paid $6 billion, he could do whatever he wants, will hire Eric Bieniemy, the guy who's had his quarterback sacked at a rate now that will break an all-time record of 96, and they only scored 7 points, but yet he'll probably get Chico's job, and he's the offensive coordinator that was supposed to put up all sorts of numbers. He forgot somebody, Patrick Mahomes, period, end of story.
Oh, good story. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome, Aldo. I love that. It's better than what we've been talking about lately. The story, the car that can't drive straight. By the way, Justin Fields. Wait, you know what I'm seeing now? Yeah, Justin Fields drives a Chevy. I'm waiting for somebody to watch. You ever see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? The car goes over the bridge as it's opening. And then Justin Fields eats Dunkin' Donuts. So you go with your Chevy to Dunkin' Donuts, and maybe Justin will be sitting there going, I wonder who I'm going to be playing for maybe next year, because I don't think if like Eldo said last week, if you want to bring him back, you can bring him back, but you can't give him a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll want to probably shop himself, but I hear people going, well, don't you love my 1950s guy? Well, there's a good chance we can get a number 1 pick for him. I just start laughing. It's so much to cry. A first-round pick for him. We're lucky to get a 7th-round pick for this guy if it ends up going sideways. That's all I'm saying.
Harp wants to know, do you think that if that Eberflus or Eberlus, as he puts it, and Getsy return next season, he doesn't know? What are your thoughts about this?
Yeah, if they keep doing well, he could go from you can go from basically Pedro Eberflus to Bruce Eberflus, like Bruce Bochy. Mm-hmm. By the way, I want to congratulate Texas because I rode them all the way, had them for the over this year in total series, for the Tony La Russa experiment that worked. That's what happened. 73-year-old. Nobody said, well, he hit a curb. Yeah, he hit a curb. He just stood there in the corner and said, we're doing this, we're doing that. Well, what about the analytics? No analytics. I go by the gut. So congrats.
Yeah. All right. Good.
I
All right.
excited you
Good.
with that story. I could tell. Yeah.
You really did.
I could
John wants to know if you're
Big
sick of
baseball
seeing.
guy over here, ladies and gentlemen. It's not called Ranger Bar Room for a reason.
I didn't know if the baseball season was still running until somebody told me the World Series is coming up.
I get you. I get you.
Is Mike sick of seeing Wannstedt on TV as I am? Guy was a terrible coach here. What are your thoughts on?
I don't tell anybody. He's got to make a living. He's got to make a living. You know, and Dave knows this. Nothing personal, just business with me. I knew he couldn't coach when he got here. I knew he wasn't head coach material when he got here. You know who else? You know who everybody else did? Even people now that still had jobs back then. Everybody. Ditka was going to be a failure, and Wannstedt was going to, boom, take him to another place. He followed a tough act. Period. End of story. But then he went other places, and I knew it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Everywhere he went. He even went back to college. I knew it wasn't going to work. He had great job opportunities, made a lot of money, and now he's on the radio. Mm-hmm. I mean, and how many times you go to the truck? That being said, I don't listen to him. I heard enough of him when he coached. But if I did listen to him, I'd say probably half the time, then why didn't you do that? That's
right. Right. Jay Grizz has an interesting question. He's asking you, do you think the Bears are still in that phase of rebuilding where Ryan Poles is not looking to make any deals right now for a player like, for example, Danielle Hunter from the Vikings, who has like 5 or 6 sacks? Or do you think the Bears should be a buyer?
Here's what I'm doing. I'm keeping it status quo. If we're on a roll, even if this kid Bagent looks good, even in their losses, because you could lose a game 20-17. Okay. And you got to give the other team credit. He stays. But if he comes out and throws 3 interceptions because they had tape, which I don't buy. Right. I don't see a defense out there, not too many, especially San Diego's. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I think no defense scares me. and to me, I think the Bears can win this game. I think they can win this game, but the thing that scares me is the point spread. I couldn't believe it was that high.
What is it? I didn't see.
I think it's 8.5 or something, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, let me double check
it out, see if we got it to make sure so we don't give any wrong information. But I may change my mind by the end of the week. Don't forget now, they're still got some holes. Yeah. And they're going to be playing an offense that's angry and needs a win, and they can't get, they need to win every game they can. They lose a lot of close games, so if the Bears can hang it, it's all right.
8.5.
8.5 is high.
Absolutely right. That is a lot of points.
Which tells you Vegas thinks Bagent was maybe a one-time situation. I mean, because I'm inclined to take Bagent because, but people who did the same with Purdy, they ran from Purdy and he won 8-9. He's won 5-6 in a row until he lost some of his players.
Right. Yeah. T Hulk. What's up, Uncle Mike? Just curious. In Tyson Bagent, did we find our new Mitch Trubisky hashtag? Biscuit waste the man. Was the man. Biscuit was the man.
Well, I'll tell you this. What I told Aldo's true. It was a Trubisky game. And it's just it's a Tannehill game. Now I don't know how far you could go. Tannehill's now it's 3 years later, but they were like the number 1 seed last year, the year before. So you can win football games with quarterbacks like that. Like Brian Urlacher said last week. He said, we went to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. He said, we went to the Super. But here's what he didn't say. Devin Hester was on that team. And here's another thing. He wouldn't even be having a dream of going to the Hall of Fame with the wuss rules now in the National Football League, where you could call a fair catch at the 10. That's the height of weakness, ladies and gentlemen, in today's game. Period. It's like taking the triple out of baseball. It's like taking no more triples. Stop at second.
Yeah.
And don't say that wouldn't happen, because I never dreamt I'd tune on in the 10th inning. There'd be a guy at second going, they just put me here. I didn't even have to hit.
Mr. Mayhem says that Tyson Bagent is Josh McCown.
I'm glad you reminded me of something, because I don't think I'll have to remind people, because if you listen to me on the radio back in the day, when I was on every day, I was the narrative buster. And what did we hear? What did we hear from everybody? The Ellenders, the Morrisseys, the ESPN, I know. It's cool. Everybody. Cutler was ready to come back. No. We're 3-2 with McCown. No. Because we're in the playoff hunt. No.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a team that he knows how to. He's your basic. I'll put you to sleep and then hit you with a pass for a touchdown. No. I was on the radio every day. The bookie priest had to come and counsel me. He slapped me. He said, "You could be a man." Like, I said, "No, it's not about me." I was in tears. Cutler's a loser. That's what I said. Oh, no. He's not a loser. No. Good. What's McCown ever done, Mike? No. And what did they do? And this is what I'm afraid of with Fields if Bagent even wins. They bring Cutler back because they're in debt up to their ass to him. They got to pay him because they don't want to see him sit. They're unlike the Seahawks who got rid of Matt Flynn after signing them to a $46 million deal. They said we made a mistake. They kept the mistake on the lake, which not only was Cleveland, but Cutler, and we lost every game after that. And we didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. We didn't make the playoffs. And McCown was over there waving.
Very, very true.
I don't give a damn what the guy's name is. When you it's like the Bears. Here's what the Bears like to do, and this is why people are fearing. I know this because I get out. Don't let the rumors swing yet that I'm like Howard Hughes. I get out. I'm hearing people are afraid, even that they're afraid Fields is going to come back if this kid looks good anyway, and if he does, that's just prejudice thinking towards somebody over another and not seeing results, and lying your one pick to try to be justified, even though it's already broken. It's gone. That's what people are fearing, and because they saw it happen. They saw it happen with Cutler, and Cutler had much more sparkling stats than Justin Field even dreams about ever having, except in the run game. So
what do you say, Mike, to people who are saying, Justin Fields is suffering as an NFL quarterback because he does not have an offensive coordinator who coaches to his skill set, which is an athletic quarterback who should be running as often as he's throwing the ball?
I think if he can't fit into the coach's system in this situation, because you still got to be able to throw from the pocket, and it still takes the accuracy. But even you have said, I just direct people to Aldo the last 3 years as cuts. He's been fair. He's not part of the cult. He said, I love Justin Field. I'd probably go on a couples retreat with them and stuff, But we have cuts. We have cuts. By the way, a great movie. I
was just going to say that. It was a great movie.
Vince Vaughn's basically me.
I love it.
The shark bites me, and I feel like I've lost a leg. There's no doubt about it. And poor B. But no. But he shows you. Just go back to last week. I think if you brought in, and I said this, most quarterbacks that play in the league now. I mean, look at what this kid Minshew does. He comes in and makes Indy tough. But the guy from Washington, I don't want to hear about offensive line. He's going to be sacked 90 on the rate 96 times. The record's like 76.
Yeah.
And he's still. And then Kirk Cousins last night. I've been on here saying I love that guy. And what does he do? Puts him on his shoulders with guys that you basically have never heard of.
Right.
And they win the game. So.
Well, this is Rahl Jewelers presents Mike Norris press conference. We've got a few more questions from the assembled media in the chat room. First of all, Mike Withrow says the point spread will shrink. Vegas knows that Tyson Bagent really does have a cannon, as he self-described himself. Yep. When more people find out, they'll bet heavy Bears, and Vegas will adjust. You agree with that?
I know people that have declared bankruptcy because they live in California and believe the Chargers every year and bet the Chargers every year. They don't even cover the spread. They they have a quarterback right now whose confidence is shot. I think the Bears are a young, lively group. I think what they got, okay, what
Mhm.
they got. I had food poisoning, okay, and I got dehydrated. This was a few years back. I thought I was going to die,
Mhm.
okay. So we go to the emergency room. By the way, call an ambulance from now on. If you go in a car, you just sit in the emergency room. An ambulance, they wheel you right in.
Exactly.
You know who told me that? The people at the emergency room. God, Mike, I wish I would have known you were out there. Yeah. Years of entertainment for what? To sit there for 2 hours like this,
That's crazy. Oh no.
right? And then wait, what the Bears got, if you saw the locker room and the Eberflus played this well, he had only one game ball. It was for Johnson, who played great, who's
Mhm,
going to be a
mhm.
star. Did Johnson play great because of the defense just, or did Johnson play great because they saw scoring,
Mhm.
things that they couldn't stop in practice, but then the guy wouldn't do it in the game that somebody else actually did? Then Eberflus goes, and then if you ever saw the movie, um, what was it when they were the bicycle racers?
Oh yeah, shot in Indiana.
Yeah,
Breaking away.
yeah. The kid, the quarterback looks like the kid that was in the bicycle race, breaking
Yeah,
away from Indiana.
yeah, yeah,
Got the
yeah.
caddy and everything's going. My
Mhm.
kind of guy, Shepherd. You know, he'll never make it. I heard my friend Paulie Howard say this. I'm betting seeing the Chargers this week.
Hmm.
And I go, how could you just say that? No way some kid from Division Two can come in and beat the Chargers. I go, and then I said to myself, that's just, and Paulie's a regular guy. He grew up in St. Cloud, but he just thinks like, unfortunately, the swamp guys think on that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I guarantee you, nobody gave Purdy a chance because of where he was drafted.
Mr.
And while we're
Irrelevant.
at it, we've seen more out of the quarterback position last week. We saw everything that a quarterback's supposed to do. Looks off receivers. Ieldo saw it. Goes like this and then throws
Yeah.
over there, gets in
Right.
trouble, slings it this way. We
Right.
saw cool stuff. So let's just see what happens. I think everybody's going to be on his side. I think Bear fans are rejuvenated. And this kid was when you got the food poisoning, they hydrated me.
Yeah.
And when you hydrate, you don't feel sick to your stomach anymore. That locker room, and then they gave another one to Foreman, that running back, who I'm going, my God, and give the offensive line, was hoping he'd hold this big.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't believe it. So the team looked better. Let's see what happens this week. I'm not going to say he should start for the rest of the year because they could lose, but how are they going to lose? Are they going to lose because of him?
Mm-hmm.
Because he didn't turn the ball over, and the other guy turns the ball over at least twice a game, and that puts them in the defense in a bad spot and takes the morale down if they can't stop somebody.
That is huge. Now, people are saying, well, he only had 162 yards passing. I will say this. You remember the very first series of the game, Deontay Foreman drops a pass that would have got him a first down. Do you remember DJ Moore not making that catch in the end zone? Do you remember the play calling by Luke Getsy, which was all short passes, and there were open guys
Yes.
in downfield, but he was drilled by the coaching staff. Keep it simple. Short passes, short passes, short passes.
How many points did they score?
Yeah, enough to win. 30, right?
30. They scored 30 points. Or I don't know. You know, it's like the guy that keeps making money with the product and goes, I haven't seen enough yet. No, this guy's the real deal for now. Hey,
All right,
son, we're in a good mood.
Yeah, we're
Are you getting
definitely.
tired now? Are you getting tired? How many minutes we've been in? This is happy.
45 minutes.
All
I got 2 more questions, maybe
That's it.
3, and then we'll
Get
get
enough of
out
these
of here.
people.
The trading deadline is a week from today, Mike. Scott says, Mike says, is there a chance that Fields is traded after Bagent wins against the Chargers?
No. I can't believe I have to fight for this kid. I didn't want him. And he got humiliated last week. And I'll tell you why. You ever make an error in a key game? Or even when you were a pertinent part of a team, you ever get hurt and then they won without you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to take tear the kid's heart out. I'm not going to do it to him. I feel bad for the kid that way. That's where I've gotten soft
Mm-hmm.
because we've all been in that position.
Yeah.
I remember I was coaching a game at Notre Dame High School, and my buddy was behind us, him and my buddies. And there was a bad call that should have been, there was a call that should have been made on our guys. And the ref ran by the bench. And one of the guys behind me, and the refs had told me they listened to me before the game. I listened to you on the show and everything. So this was their little way. Said, come on, ref, open your eyes. Technical on North. I cost us that game by 1 point.
Oh,
I
no.
didn't even say it. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
They thought I said it. And I had been barking, come on, boys. Come on, come on, ref. I had been doing that. But so when they heard that, you want to know something? I cost those guys. That's humiliating. Well,
Yeah.
we won other games. We won, and I was a reason for a couple of them. So you get over that. But when you've lost 10 straight at home, and a new kid comes in, I don't care if you're in advertising. There were people at the Score. There are people in radio and media. They're the most envious, Elder will tell you that, of anybody that were jealous of me and still are. Even after I'm just doing ESPN, how do you get that? Because, and so I think the players have to walk a fine line. I think that Justin dug his own hole here. I don't think he's going to be a great quarterback like Bear fans did. I think they got to come to that realization. But I won't trounce on the kid after he's lost his gig, because I see a guy that tries. You see a more studious quarterback to me, a quarterback that knows how to play the position in Bagent, but he could end up having a nightmarish game, and then we're back to square one, because I don't think then Bear fans can say, let's go back to Fields. Let's go back to either one of them next year. Now, you got to decide, are you going to trade that first and second pick? Because I want Bagent to work out and have Fields also come in next year so we can trade the first and second pick, build our trenches, build our line. Because see Jared Goff, you see what he does with the line?
Yes.
Everybody said he's done. He's done, Jimmy. I still smoke cigarettes like it's the 50s. He's done, Jimmy. And I call people Jimmy. He's done, Jimmy, and there's nobody over there. Wait, I love making Aldo laugh. And then he gets a line. And all of a sudden, not this week, but all of a sudden, they're talking about him, that he's one of the best players in sports.
Yep, I root for the uniform more than I do the player.
Boy, Aldo. God bless.
There you go. Stephen Me from across, what is that ocean? The Atlantic Ocean. He says, just wanted to say thanks to Mike for posting the Dick Butkus interview he did. Just got around to watching it. It was wonderful. It was great to see him so relaxed and comfortable amongst friends and fans of his. Talk to Steve about that interview and why it was so special for you personally.
Well, first of all, I had friends not even call me. Like a member of my family died. I mean, Jimmy Karetzis, I know he was hurting because we went to every Butkus game at home. Johnny O'Malley went to every Butkus game with him. With Jimmy DiGiulio, who I just played golf with. But I mean, this was in the 65, 66, 67, sneaking into the ball game, seeing Sayers and Butkus, Buffon, Obradovich. Seeing Ditka, going to the 63 game. This is Tinker Toys over here that I've been watching. They don't even play that type of game anymore. Seeing people getting mauled and being happy about it. Yes. Seeing a Wyatt Tittle on the ground with blood streaming from his eyes. Today, those men would be in jail for murder, attempted murder. It was a great game. So, Butkus, we find out, is going to be in town. Jesse Rogers gets him. And you could check this out on the bar room, and Aldo Gandia and Mike North Twitter, or go to the bar room for the interview. And he came in, And we brought him in the back, the green room, and we drank, had a couple drinks. And he knew he was in Chicago. He knew he was and he knew there was a full house, which helped. Because a lot of those guys, they seem forgotten sometimes, although I tried to tell him all the time, you're not. And he was relaxed. I was relaxed, and I told Aldo the story last week. He said, let's do a 2-parter. I go, you sure? He goes, yeah. I go, okay, because, we're doing TV. He goes, I forgot I was on. That's what is the best thing about interviewing. If they can forget what your motives are or who you work for and talk to you man to man or woman to man or what have you. So it was great, and I hope everybody sees it. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, it was truly a tremendous hour, and you can find that interview on the YouTube Barroom Network.
YouTube.
Yep. And so I will put it up
on back up, Al.
I will indeed put it back up.
I know you have nothing to do in your free time.
Yeah, I got nothing to do, but it definitely.
There's like 19 shows. Greg Gabriel, and you got Vinny.
Well, and we got a new one.
I saw that.
Up. Yes, the Willis Twin Towers on Friday. They will 2 guys. They're twin brothers, and they're going to talk Bears. So it should be interesting.
That's nice. And I saw the young lady that does the Bear stuff in Spanish.
Yeah, Nazli Briones, the Bears Previa. She does a 3-minute preview of every Bears game, and so we've been trying to give a voice to, just like this Barroom Network is modeled after Mike North's career. Mike North, who was a successful restaurant owner, wants to broadcast about sports. He wants to be on the air, and so we've been giving opportunities for young people to get on and talk about sports and do with the opportunity what they can. So Mike, I gotta tell you that I'm going to assure everyone that I'm going to repost the Dick Butkus interview. It's like it should be like the Three Stooges, where it plays almost every day, anywhere, somewhere in the world, because that interview is so special.
It is. It's the best interview we ever did. It was 1 hour, and we also, I want to remind everybody, Aldo will have a cut of this show if you missed it. Yep. The cuts have been getting plenty. I don't know what cut we're going to use today, probably. Because we've had some good ones. Aldo put up some special ones. Oh, by the way, I know that you had some of the Barroom people over, and I don't know. I saw Heidi there, and in a way, I wanted to come, but I couldn't make it, and I was afraid to. I was going to try to find a number 17 jersey for a dresser, because that damn dresser's getting filled with quarterback jerseys that you wouldn't believe. But before I let you, oh, by the way, yes. Joey Mandel tonight, and I understand we're going to have a taped cut of Aldo, you worked with Harry real quick, and before we go, but I don't want to give everything away. But tell us a little bit real quick, Aldo, what you knew.
Yeah, I mean, when I was hired at WBBM, the CBS affiliate here in Chicago, owned and operated station, it was to be Harry Porterfield's producer. And so upon meeting him, I knew that I was in the presence of greatness. This guy is so smart, so intelligent. He had that jazzy, deep baritone voice. It was sensational. And he's famous, of course, for Somebody You Should Know features on the news. I am going to do a little short segment for tonight's Somebody Big Just Died, which is hosted by Joe Mandel and Mike North and presented by Cumberland Chapels and Pennyville Stations. So it's going to be nice to be a part
and then
of
we got Rahl Jewelers here, which are great. But here's the best part story. So I met Harry more than 2, 3 times, 4 times. But then the 4th time I meet him, we saw him at like events and stuff. I saw him at CBS, and he was walking, and I go, Harry, it's Mike North. Hi, Mike, how you doing? I go, good. He comes over, graceful. Cool. Never had a bad thing to say about nobody. Kept his minded his business, just did his thing. I go, hey, you know what? I've been watching you since 1965, stuff like that. And I'll tell you, this segment's someone you should know. I do a great invitation, but man, I would love to be on someone you should know. He goes, well, that's impossible. Because now you are someone that is known. And I listen to you myself. I was on Cloud 9, Harry Porterfield.
That is awesome.
Harry Porterfield. Since I watched like in 8th grade. Him and Frank Matthew and Bob Petty. I mean, I could go through all the news people, Joan Esposito. I mean, all these people, but the street reporters, Frank Matthew, the guy was like a regular, you know, and on all these places. Then you had Walter and you had Bill. That was when the anchors and were stars, like Hollywood stars in Chicago. So tonight, someone you should know, Harry Porterfield, who I'm not going to give too much away because he was one of my guys, man. He's one of the all-time 95 years old. Someone you should know. He's a mailman who twirls a baton at high school games in the evening. You know, you'd see a guy that, and then they'd show him in the, you know, doing something different, which was a killer. Which was a killer segment. It really was for many.
It really was. It really, it was one of the things that made me interested in broadcasting and the whole public affairs. And this town has had a lot of good public affairs reporters, but there's nobody better than Harry Porterfield. No. He made it every episode that he did. Whether it was the show Channel to the People or somebody you should know features, they were always interesting. He's a very gifted guy.
I think you could put maybe for public affairs guy, the only guy close to him was Warner Saunders when he did Common Ground. Maybe, well, Len O'Connor looked like a Union henchman, for God's sake, and then and Dick Kay, who was very active and a good comment. These were all great people that I grew up watching and borrowed from something. And believe me, the grace of Harry Porterfield, man. It's just you got to watch it tonight. So we'll be
quick question before you go. Tom Skilling has announced his retirement. He's going to retire in February. The question is, who was the all-time best weatherman? Harry Volkman, John Coughlin, John Coleman, or Harry Volkman? Or did I say Harry Volkman? Harry Volkman.
Well,
John
I go back to Channel 2 and PJ Hoff. Okay,
whoa, he was the guy. That one I don't know.
He wrote cartoons. He goes, "There's a typhoon coming, and it would have a face on it, and it would be smiling as your house was mowed down." But I would probably I think Skilling took it to another level. But every one of those guys is legends. Yes. You can have a Mount Rushmore of guys. Believe me when I tell you this. You just named them off. I mean, you got Harry Volkman, you got John Coughlin, you know,
and John Coleman.
John Coleman was a mean SOB. I'm telling you right now.
I heard stories.
I saw him at John M. Smythe. I go, "How you doing, John?" Huh? I go, "Yeah." Me and B were shopping for furniture when we first married. And he started the Weather Channel. And if you watch him argue with people on climate change, because he denies, he goes nuts.
Huge.
Check out some of his cuts. He started in Chicago, invented the damn Weather Channel. So we've had a lot of great people.
A lot of great ones. And you are one of the great ones too, Mike North. Thank you to you.
My wife. I'm just getting ready to eat lunch. And Aldo, I love you. You know that. You've been working your butt off, man. So keep it going, babe.
Yeah, we got a lot more great stuff coming up here on the Barroom Network, and Mike North is a big part of it, as you can see. So thank you, Mike.
Someone you should know.
Yeah, and by the way, if you know Harry Porterfield, you should tune in live tonight at 7 p.m. But if you don't know Harry Porterfield, tune in, because he is somebody.
And we'll tell you everything, because Suzanne Summers, they left a lot of stuff out, and then our show. Yeah, we revealed actually she was a pain in the ass and ruined Three's company, her and her husband. Yes. We revealed that. Nowhere else she was so good. No, she helped ruin it because she wanted Buku like John Ritter, who I think Elder would agree, even though Joyce DeWitt was good and Suzanne Summers was outstanding. John Ritter was the show. He was the glue, and then you had Don Knotts and Norman Fell. Oh, I miss the other one.
Yeah. Oh,
but Joe's doing a great job.
He is. He's the man. All right, for Rahl Jewelers, Mike North, and everyone here at the Barroom Network, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.